Okay, so it is time to come back to the... Oh, shit, I forgot to empty it. Right, pause, I'll empty it, then we're into modification territory. I've been printing some things. I'm going to modify this. I've got some stuff to do. Cleanup done. Look at the resin shelf. I updated my shelves. I'm going to print with something with these in a bit. These are metallic resins, but one of the modifications I need to do is because of them. First modification is a simple one. This is a pain to get off if you're doing it one-handed. Now, normally most normal people wouldn't be doing it one-handed, but I do sometimes. I might be eating something or basically recording a video. So I printed this. It is a nice handle, and as you can see, it is designed to fit firmly into that square that was there. Now I have two choices. I could drill a hole in the shell and bolt it in place, or I can take the lazy bugger route, double-sided tape. So I'm just going to cut off a couple of bits of this and then glue that down. For those of you asking why that was blue, blue was the colour that I had in the tank when I printed it. I was printing out Resident Evil things at the time, so it's blue. Right, so there it is. A nice handle which will allow me to do this. Which is good. And I can go whoop. Whoop. Which should be good for checking prints because I usually have to do that. Also means I don't burn my hands when I'm doing the heat up process that I've developed, but that's something else. Okay, so that's mod number 1, and that obviously is very simple because it's just me sticking a bit of plastic to a bit of plastic. Yeah. But why this handle is not part of the default shell? No idea. It should just be there. It makes sense for it to be there. Okay, so mod number 2 is to do with this thing. So, taking that back off. Oh, that's so much easier. You'll see here that the drivetrain stops there. And that is because when this is on, it has to leave enough space between the top of that and the top of that so that it doesn't push the lid up. This has been debalanced, but that's besides the point. Meaning that you've got a good 10 to 20 mil of extra print space that you can't use, and as a result, this thing is programmed not to use it. But you can get around that. And the way you get around that is by printing out one of these. So this is a replacement handle, a replacement screw knob. That takes up a lot less space than that. And all this is missing, realistically, is that bolt. Now thankfully, that bolt is a standard M10 and it's 18 mil long, which is fine. I tried to find 18s, I couldn't find any 18s. I've got a 20 mil. And now, all I need to do is put that in there, and then jam that in there. So I'm going to stand this up, glue it down, and then I'll explain what I need to do around that. So yeah, that's now a lot lower than that ever would have been. And yeah, that's now screwed on. There's a little bit of a gap there, because I got the 20 mil rather than the 18 mil. But that's pretty firmly on there. That will not cause a problem with printing. And you can already see the extra space I can get myself. So how do I get myself this? Well, it actually comes down to programming. And I need to update this thing's firmware. But don't worry, that wasn't a COVID cough. That was at the age of 37, I seem incapable of not choking on my own saliva. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm going to have to program this, update its firmware. Now at the same time, while I'm in there, I'm going to fix something else that's not really a problem, it's not really an upgrade, it's more of a bug. Well, not even a bug, it's more of a limitation of design. This Z-index is great at... I actually thought this bit might make more sense if I do this. Right, what the problem is that I need to fix, so you can hear that clunk there, and that grinding there. So that is the grease in there is not allowing it, so it's not fully travelling the 10 mil. And this happens every time I leave it alone for a few days. So if I fully hit the button, the software thinks, I can't take it any higher because the software now thinks that is the max. It now thinks it's travelled the full 160 mil. It thinks it's it thinks it's max height, so it won't go any higher. So what I end up having to do is zero it out and then push it back up, but I have to literally push it as it's going, and that gets rid of the grease. It softens the grease again, and I do that 2 or 3 times and it's fine. Now, that's crap, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some IPA. I'm going to clean off all the existing grease on that spindle before I reprogram it to have more height. And I've got some more grease on the way. Amazon says that'll be delivered about 3 o'clock today. So I will re-grease this with lithium grease, and then there's that. But one thing that I never did was set 0. Now, this leveling the bed should set it to 0, but there are tolerances in the springs. So the spring in there and the spring on that connection there have tolerances. So there may be 1 or 2 mil, where the 1 or 2 millimeter, tenths of millimeters, 1 or 2 tenths, that aren't quite right. This causes a problem in the print, and I'm trying to find a print now that I can show this off. 1 second. Grab the best guy. This is probably the best way to show it off. So, see here, nice detail on the print, but this bottom edge, if I put you there, zoom you in, okay, it's going to be a pain in the backside and not focus. So, there we go. There is a distinct lip on that, so you can see that line there. That is a lip all along that bottom edge. So that bottom edge, when it was on the print bed, was there. So that was where it connected to the print bed. And that lip is being caused because my Z index is slightly out. I need to recalibrate it to get rid of the hundredths or thousandths that it's out. So once I have re-greased it and I've programmed it to have more space, I will also run a calibration test and then reset that. At which point I will know that this thing is damn well configured to be better, and I can start using some of my fancier resins. Yeah, that's off. I'm doing some nuts, and there's the bottom half of the spring thing. What its official term, split screw or something like that. Anyway, degreasing all of this. I'll be back once my new grease arrives, but I might go on the computer in the meantime. Right, so while we wait for the delivery to arrive, so I can actually get this done, I need to look at the configuration. So I've printed the smaller handle, and I need to increase the build area. Now, what I normally print with are G2box files, but G-code is a type of code that is intended as an instruction set, and most 3D printers use G-code in some way. CNCs use G-code. And what G-code is, so this is the standard spec file for the printer. They give you a copy of it on the USB drive so that you can reset it. But I've created this G-code file, which is just a copy at the minute, and it's just a bunch of parameters. You can see here, minimum starting speed, minimum rail bending speed. Now there's a couple in here that I need to change. So the first one that I need to change for this size, because I've now got extra size, is, hang on, I'm pulling up my other page over here. Okay, so the thing that I need to change is code M8026. So 8M026 is here, and you can see here it says that the maximum size is 150 mils. So what I'm going to do is increase that to 170, because I think there's 20 odd mil of space in there, so I'll go 170. Now that is good for the printer, but obviously we will also need to update G2box, because G2box will not know that I've got this extra space now. So here I need to go into the settings of my default printer and set its... Now I'm not going to give myself all 170, I'm only going to give myself 165, because I don't want to cap out the printer. So if I save that, right, it auto saves, yes. So now it thinks my build area is. In fact, let's just show you that in an example. So we'll go there, settings 150, but build area is entirely in screen, settings 165, build area sneaks out the top. So I've gained myself an extra 15 mil, and 1.5 centimeters does not sound massive, but in terms of these prints, it can be the difference between something fitting in and not. Now, while I'm in here messing with the G-code, there is something else that I want to change, which is M830. M830. So you'll have noticed in previous things that when, well, basically the printer is noisy the moment you turn it on. That's because it's got the default set to, and check I1 and 2. Yeah, so I1 to I2. There we go. So yeah, the moment I turn that printer on, its fan starts, which is bloody annoying. If I go to sleep and leave a print running, the fan keeps going the moment the printer's finished. What I'm setting it to is 2 to -2, which means that the fan will only turn on when something is being printed. Meaning that I can leave bigger things printing and not have to worry about the damn thing whirring away all night, potentially annoying the neighbours, though I don't particularly care if it bothers them. But yes, so that's the G-code file that I'll need. So what will happen is I will load this file as if I'm printing it on the printer, and it will update some switches. It will update all of these things on the circuit board, on the processor in the machine. Now, there are other M tags to change, because if we switch to here, this is what I was saying about the calibration for the Z-axis, and I still have to do this bit where I adjust the Z height for print out the calibration cube, but it also uses a modified G-code thing to do it. So just quickly go to my downloads, and yes, my copy of WinRAR is invalid. So if I look at its G-code, see that it has quite a few more in there, and what it tells you to change is, based on its fact file, is you change, in fact you don't have to change anything in this, you just have to run the code, because that will switch your Z offset button from automatic to manual. So I will just put those on the pen drive, get these onto the pen drive. So I'm deliberately keeping these in this area. So I've created a new section for G-codes on my pen drive, which is, you don't really need to know that. I'll print the calibration cubes, I'll come out the other side and let you know what's what with that. There is another bit of G-code that I will need to use. 1 second. Right, so what I was looking for was this, which is, it was intended for the Photon, which is another type of resin printer, the Anycubic Photon, but it also works for the Elegoo Mars. Now the idea is, what you do is you use G-code to entirely disable the printer going up and down, which means that it will print the model on entirely one layer, and as a result give you this, which is a fact sheet, which is basically, it will tell you what is the optimum exposure time for each layer of the resin. Now, while that's great, up until now I've just been using the default. I've just been using what Elegoo says is for their resins, which is great, but only really works as long as I keep using Elegoo resins. And as I showed you earlier, I want to start using other people's resins. I want to use that dragon resin to work it. So having something like this where I can test what is the best exposure rate means I can set the normal resins up to print faster, set the other resins up to be accurate. So yeah, and then you've got this, which shows the difference between underexposure and overexposure. So yeah, I need to download this because again it's a load of G-codes, and I need to remember how to use it because you need to disable the G-code one thing and then not for another. Yeah, but you don't need to see that. I'm just going to download it and then we'll go back to the printer. Okay, so I forgot to record putting all that back on. Here's the new grease, the white lithium grease. I liberally spread that over the whole Z-axis. And now it's time to look at the code that we looked at. So, pen drive is in, G-code exists. You can hear the fan. Right, if we go back up from sliced to G-code, in here we've got 3 G-codes. So we've got our standard G-code, our increased build area G-code, and if we hit that one and print, if I've done this right, the fan should stop. Yeah, the fan stops. Right. So now the system thinks, well, the system knows that it's got 10 mils extra in the print area. So let's home it and I'll come back in a second. So it's at the bottom now. Now normally I'd be able to press this button 15 times and then it would stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See, we've also got rid of the grinding noise, and it's so much nicer in here setting it up without the fan. So that should stop where it did before, which is about there. So that's the 150 mark. One more press should take it to 160, and one more press should take it to 170. And there! And now we can't take it any higher. Oh no, we can. You shouldn't have allowed that. But anyway, it has definitely increased the build area. And the Z-axis is more accurate. So, now to print the calibration cube, which is literally just me running a print. So we'll see you on the other side of that. You don't need to see me put resin in the tank and hit print. Just so you can hear it. Calibration cube printing, and as you can see, the fan has kicked back in. Okay, so it's the next morning, and I need to take off my calibration cube. So now I need to take this thing off and measure it on the Z-axis to see what tolerance is. I also need to make another modification to the G-code because, so I increased this to 170 and it doesn't cap out here, which is great, but because I got an 20mm bolt rather than an 18mm bolt, it is just lifting up the top of the cover, so it just pushes up that little bit on there. So if I reduce its max height to 165 like I did in the software, that will solve that. But let's get that off. So I take it off, I clean it, but I don't cure it. There it is. Z-axis is there. So there. My thing is miscalibrated by 0.4 of a millimeter, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it can make things. So one of the problems I had with my Babylon 5 gun was that some of the parts didn't slide together quite as well as they should have done. And this is why. Because they were printed at different... So they weren't exact, so 1.96. Right, so I need to now make the adjustment to that to tell it to fix that. Right, so all the printers set up, re-leveled the printer bed, and now it's time. So, first I need to go into the settings here. Back to the home screen. Because what I need is this set 0 control. It's defaulted to do it automatically. Go back, go get the pen drive because I forgot to put that in, and then I run this G-code. That will update my settings for the tooling. Then, although I do need to check because that is now undone. This is undone the G-code change to increase the printer height because the fan's back on. But now, need to take off the printer assembly and home it again. So manual home. Don't worry, I'll get rid of the fan again in a second. I can fix it. I can fix this. So that'll stop there because the sensor will go. Yep. So that's zeroed using the sensor. Now what I need to do is switch it to 0.1mm mode, and then I can go up by. So I was out by 0.4. I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Literally, that's it. I'll home it again just to be sure. So because it felt like so little happened, but then it's 0.1 of a millimetre, so that makes sense. Yeah, I could hear it moving. You probably couldn't over the fan, but now I go back, set 0, and confirm, and then now that's it. So now my Z index has been fixed. I've got a lid on a handle on the lid, and 1 second while I just reprint the increased build area, and I've managed to increase my print area and shut the fucking fan up. So all in all, that's been a good set of mods. I am now going to stop recording this video because that's all I can do for now. I have another mod that might get done somewhere down the line if I don't buy a different printer before then, because they've got a new one of these coming out. So this is the Elegoo Mars. The Elegoo Mars Pro came out, which isn't that big of an upgrade, but apparently the Elegoo Saturn is on the way, which is a much larger resin printer. It's about 3 times the build area, but that'll be a while off, so the next video will probably be me making something. Right now I'm going to print some more Resident Evil spirally things. So yeah.